Babe of the day. Babe of the day. Rachel MCLISH. I've heard some interviewers say her last name as MCLISH, and other people introduce her as MCLISH. I'm going with MCLISH. Years ago, I saw a movie called Aces, Iron Eagle 3, and in that movie, there was a woman doing impressive things. She could kill a bad guy in a variety of ways, and look cool doing it. This woman wasn't the lead character of the film, but she was a major player nonetheless. 4 years after that, I saw this woman in an even better movie called Ravenhawk. In that film, she was the lead, and she was even cooler than in the previous movie. Then, she just disappeared. Seriously, this was her last feature film. I thought it was just the beginning of an outstanding career in action movies, but this is all we would get. Years passed, and I thought often about this film. I had to think about it because I rented the copy I watched, and couldn't track down another on VHS or DVD. It took me a long time to get my own copy. If you think it's that easy, try to find one yourself. I wondered what had happened to this beautiful, talented woman. What did she do before the movies? What did she do after? Where did she go? I was extremely surprised and delighted at what I found out. In the movies, I knew Rachel had a lean, very fit physique. She had muscles, but she wasn't muscle-bound. It was just enough to be feminine and attractive, but still be able to beat the heck out of people. It turned out, Rachel got her claim to fame as a female bodybuilder, and she was in it a long time before her movie appearances. As a matter of fact, she became the first ever Miss Olympia in 1980. In the world of female bodybuilding, it is the most prestigious title you can get. Her career in competitive bodybuilding lasted only 4 years. She never placed lower than third. In 1984, she retired from the sport, but never from fitness. I think she got even better looking after she retired from bodybuilding. She still looked fit, but her muscles were leaner and not so bulky. Rachel became a commercial spokeswoman, model, and although she was no longer a competitive athlete, she became even better known than she was before. She started acting as early as 1984. Rachel was in a TV movie called Getting Physical, where she had a small part as Tawny Runyon. It took 5 years until she had her next acting part. Well, maybe she had her next acting part in 1989. If she did, it's an incredibly obscure movie, and the only evidence it exists is a page on the Internet Movie Database. I can't find any pictures of it, reviews, or video releases. It is supposed to be a sci-fi comedy movie, and in it, Rachel was supposed to have played the small role of a checkpoint guard. If this is a real movie, it's pretty bleak compared to what she would do 3 years later. It wasn't until 1992 that Rachel got her big break in acting with Aces, Iron Eagle 3. She got second billing under the star Louis Gossett Jr., and even appeared on the poster and boxes for the home video releases. I liked this movie, but it bombed in theaters at the time. It's surprising to me because anyone I knew who watched it liked it, and it seems to be relatively well received today for fans of the series. If nothing else, the presence of Rachel MCLISH should have made it a hit. She was definitely a standout. As the story goes, Rachel's character of Anna is the sister of Ramon, a fallen colleague of Gossett's character named Chappie. Anna's father was the mayor of a village in Peru. She was being held hostage by a ruthless drug lord to get her father to cooperate. Anna isn't held hostage for long. She escapes kills some bad guys, and flees on the cartel's cargo plane in order to get outside help and save her village. Anna meets up with Chappie and gets him and the other flying aces to kill the bad guys and liberate her village. Rachel's character of Anna was cool in this movie. She killed a lot of bad guys, and it was convincing due to her physique. In that regard, Rachel was definitely believable. It would be 3 more years until Rachel would make another movie, and another year after that until it was widely seen. Ravenhawk was a made-for-TV action movie aired on HBO in 1996. She was the definite lead in this movie, and it was awesome. First of all, this movie should have been shown in theaters. If it had, I think it would have made some decent money. The filming quality was there, and most of the cast is filled with recognizable actors who have appeared in tons of stuff. The movie was directed by Albert Pyun. A lot of people like to take potshots at Albert Pyun because he made low-budget B movies and not always of the best quality. Seriously though, as a technical director, I thought he did very well. He knew how to shoot a scene and make it look cool for maximum effect. His action sequences were paced well. Where Albert got into trouble is that he would try to make sci-fi movies that required big money on limited funds, and they wouldn't come out right. When he was just doing straight action movies like this one, or movies that had only slight fantasy elements, he did very well, and the movies came out good. I think Albert did a good job of showcasing Rachel McLish in this movie. He emphasized her action scenes, because that was her strong suit, and limited her talking scenes to where it was relevant. She actually had good delivery when she spoke in this film, but it wasn't often because of the nature of the film. Rachel's heroine was a solitary character much of the time. The story begins with a little Indian girl named Raya Shadowfeather and her parents at home. A group of white men break in, kill both her parents, and frame her for the murder. Raya is in a catatonic state and put in a psych ward for 12 years. After the first 6 years, Raya snaps out of it and starts doing exercises in her room to get herself in maximum shape. Revenge is obviously on her mind, if and when she would ever get out. Raya was about to be paroled, but her parole was blocked, and she was going to be transferred to an insane asylum for the rest of her life. By a strange twist of fate, the transport van crashed and caught on fire. Raya was able to escape, although everyone assumed she had died in the flames, at least for a while. After taking back her horse that was stolen when her parents were murdered, Raya begins her crusade of grisly revenge. She remembered the 4 men that directly killed her parents and targeted them first. As she unravels the plot behind her parents' murder, she discovers more people, higher up, were involved. She starts killing off her enemies rather quick. Then, 3 professional hitmen are brought in to take her out. Raya eliminates them too. While all this is going on, a young marshal by the name of Dale Wilkes starts investigating the case of Raya Shadowfeather and starts making some major revelations. He soon learns that she never did what she was said to have done, and that she was not the bad guy in all of this. Raya and Dell finally meet toward the end of the movie, and he does her a solid. How it all ends is very cool. Raya is vindicated and proven innocent, and she's allowed to go on and live her own life. Although the story ends on a satisfactory note, I would have liked a sequel. I think she needed to go after the boss of the boss and eliminate the entire criminal empire. It also would have been nice to see her and Dell get together. Mostly, I think this movie needs a lot more visibility. It should be more common to see than it is. As it stands, This was Rachel's last acting part for many, many years, and she was really getting good at the craft. Besides the physical stuff, which was amazing, I thought she had improved markedly in delivering dialogue. In my viewpoint, she was just getting started. It wasn't until many years later, in 2011, when she took on her next acting role. It was the small part of Tiger Lil in the comedy short film of Ordinary Average Guys. To date, this is her last acting appearance. I think Rachel McLish deserved more recognition as an actress, and she definitely should have done more. Thankfully, she never completely disappeared out of the public eye, and at least she's remembered for empowering women via the sport of bodybuilding. Rachel is actually of Mexican descent and hails from Texas. When you hear her speak, she has a pronounced Texan accent. She was born as Raquel Livia Elizondo. When she was real young, she got into dancing and became quite good in ballet and tap. Later, in high school, Rachel was a popular cheerleader. At the time, this was the only athletic thing available to her. She was good at it and liked being in shape. When she went to college, she didn't have an outlet for her physicality, so she got a bit out of condition. Rachel just wasn't feeling good. Strange, since her degrees were in physiology and health and nutrition. Eventually, in her sophomore year, she joined a health club called the Shape Center. Rachel just loved the atmosphere of the whole place. She liked what it did for her, as far as getting her back in shape, and she wanted to keep working at it and making herself better. This was the environment she wanted to be in. She also started working there. As far as working out goes, Rachel never considered yoga and Pilates real workouts. Not in the way the weight training was, and Rachel really wanted to work out. When she started doing it, nobody called it bodybuilding. At least not in her area. That's a label that was attached to it later. As far as she knew it, it was just called weight training, weightlifting, or pumping iron. In the early days, these health clubs, also referred to as health spas, were very segregated between men and women. Women were able to go there on certain days, and men on the other days. So at the time she got started in it, there was no co-ed training. There was no men and women in a gym together until the early 1980s, after Rachel became a champion. To her recollection, there was nothing weird about it when it became co-ed. Probably because women like her, who started making female bodybuilders popular, kicked open some doors and made it acceptable. After Rachel graduated from college, she and the owner of Shape Center formed a partnership and decided to build a new health club in her hometown. This was in the summer of 1978, so the fitness craze hadn't really taken hold yet, but amazingly, the club was an instant smash success. In early 1979, Rachel married her college sweetheart, John McLish. The marriage didn't last, but she kept his last name. Later in 1979, the men's manager of her club tried convincing her to try out for the first ever U.S. Bodybuilding Championship for women to be held in 1980. Rachel was a bit reluctant to do it. She had seen the magazines of the muscle-bound men in little bikinis, and she didn't think it looked right. When she investigated it further, she found out that other women were into weightlifting too, but she thought they were doing it all wrong. She noticed that many of the women were trying to be exactly like the men, and she's called out that mistake her whole life. The only reason Rachel joined the competition is because her health club was about to expand into new locations, and the contest was going to coincide with their grand openings. The publicity, win or lose, was going to be great for the clubs. It just so happened that Rachel got first place, and the rest was history. What started out as a publicity stunt for her clubs turned out to be a whole new career. Rachel skyrocketed to fame in the sports world. After all, the competition got TV and magazine coverage. She made headlines on newspapers all around the world. Before that, she was just a glamour girl at the gym who looked good in the print ads and helped get people in shape. This was something else. Later that same year, in 1980, she became the first ever Ms. Olympia. This would become the highest honor a female bodybuilder could get. After this, Rachel was considered a serious bodybuilder by everyone. Now she was established. The next year she got second place, then first place again, then second place one last time before she retired. During her brief 4-year run in bodybuilding competition, Rachel always placed rather highly. She was never over-muscled like so many female bodybuilders were. Rachel got a bit of flack about that by some people in the business because she was beating out some women who definitely had bigger muscles. Rachel, however, perceived the competition to be how good a woman could look while still being feminine and not too bulky. She also thought it was important for a physique to be functional. Being too big limits your mobility. Rachel never had a problem with that. One thing that Rachel did have a problem with is other weightlifters, men and women, using steroids. She was adamantly opposed to it and insisted on getting her body through actual hard work. Rachel knew steroids was bad for a person's health and that they made you look like a freak. Manufactured muscles don't look as good or as real as actual muscles. In 1982, while she was still competing, Rachel appeared in Arnold Schwarzenegger's exercise video called Shape Up. Arnold had been the most famous bodybuilder in the world for years by that time. He had been in the first Conan the Barbarian movie, but he wasn't Terminator famous yet. When you see this video, it's kind of funny, because Arnold is sort of treating her like a novice. Rachel clearly wasn't, but I think it was a bit of play acting to benefit the viewer. After all, this video was meant to be seen by men and women, and Arnold was the instructor. In 1985, after Rachel had retired from bodybuilding, she appeared in the documentary film Pumping Iron 2: The Women. It was the follow-up to the successful Pumping Iron film from 1977, featuring Arnold and many others. Rachel considers her documentary to be the first women's reality show. It was actually filmed in 1983 while she was competing for the Caesars World Cup, in which she placed third, her lowest ranking in a competition. Since the contest was created for the movie anyway, it doesn't really matter. The movie fueled a controversy, because controversy sells, that women bodybuilders should have the hugest muscles possible instead of looking feminine like Rachel. Things were starting to be spun like Rachel and other women similar to her were stifling the sport, while female bodybuilders who look like male bodybuilders should be awarded and taken more seriously. Consequently, the use of steroids in female bodybuilding went through the roof. At the time, the message of Pumping Iron 2 won out, and that's what the masses thought a female bodybuilder should look like. Rachel thought it was a mistake back then, and even now, as the image of the muscle-bound woman really put off spectators and hurt the popularity of the sport. It's one of the things that led Rachel to retiring from competing in 1984. All was not lost, though. Rachel never gave up on fitness. As a matter of fact, I think she made her body look even better over time. For Rachel, the competitions were like beauty contests for strong, athletic women. Her look continued to improve, so it never stopped with Miss Olympia. If you notice, throughout the late 1980s and into the 90s, Rachel's muscles became leaner and she looked more feminine than ever. However, she was still a force to be reckoned with, and it looked like she could beat a man up if she had to. Fortunately, in any interview you see her in, Rachel McLish acts and sounds like a real person. She doesn't come off as rude or self-important. She just knows what she knows and doesn't mince words. Rachel definitely believes in fitness and nutrition and is respectable for it. She wrote Flex Appeal, published in 1984, which was the first book for women on weight training. It was the first of 2 books Rachel would write on the subject, and both of them became New York Times bestsellers. Her second book, co-written with Joyce Vidal, was called Perfect Parts and released in 1987. In 1990, Rachel married film producer and manager Ron Samuels. This had to be the luckiest dude alive. From 1977 to 1982, he was married to Wonder Woman herself, Linda Carter. Then he lands Rachel McLish? Awesome. Ron produced a lot of movies, including both of Rachel's major films, Aces, Iron Eagle 3, and Ravenhawk. Ravenhawk is an awesome movie in a lot of ways. If you want to find out more about it, watch my first video on Rachel McLish. It's a shame that this had to be her last major endeavor in movies, and that it's not as well known as it should be. I think the whole idea of what she was trying to do in life was represented fully in this movie. She kicked butt and looked good doing it, and she didn't sacrifice any of her femininity. Rachel was a good person in the movie, true to her convictions, and won out. If anything, I'm glad to know that she's been living well all these years since. Just like her character in Ravenhawk, she earned her happy ever after, and her new title as Babe of the Day, Babe of the Day.